if you've ever logged into ChatGPT to save time in your balloon business, only to find yourself 30 minutes later overwhelmed with a long list of things to do and no real direction, realizing you've wasted all your time. Today's episode is for you. My name is Sarah. I'm the host of the Bright Balloon podcast, and I try to help you make more money while eliminating stress. And today I'm talking with my good friend, efficiency and productivity queen, Emily of Utah Balloon Creations, about AI, how to actually use it as an assistant in your business and not just go on a time wasting bender every time you hop on. So, some really great usable tips in this episode. And Emily breaks it down into usable balloon business strategies. So, let's jump right in. Welcome back, Emily. Once again, you are one of my best friends, but also one of the most organized and efficient people that I know in the balloon world. So today we're talking about AI and how we can actually use it to benefit our busy lives and jobs. Because I know when I get on there, half the time I'm wasting time. So brief introduction. We'll link to your old episode so people can hear your full story, but
Sure.
brief introduction of the scale of your business and where you are.
Yeah, I'm Emily. I run Utah Balloon Creations. I currently have it's my husband and I full time, and then we have three other employees. We're in the process of hiring a fourth, and yeah, it's full time. That's what we do day in, day out, and we love it. We love it because it gives flexibility to our family, and we have a bunch of little kids, so we get to stay home with them and make it work for us. So, but we do a lot of corporate decor. We do, residential private decor as well, but I love the corporate side of things just because there's less emotion attached to the money and it just makes
Yeah.
it easier overall for me.
Absolutely. And you're home based, which you were kind of
Yes.
like one of the first people that got me thinking that I could live in like a regular house and
Uh-huh.
still have a fairly decent sized business. So you're working out of your basement, similar
Yeah.
as I am with employees.
Mhm.
And a lot of times the thing I think is interesting is like you'll be in your actual house working while you have employees
Right.
downstairs inflating and doing the balloons.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like the techie. I mean, obviously you do everything because you're the owner, but like you're on the computer a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say that's the bulk of my role. I mean, I have my own office upstairs just so I can be away from the inflators,
Mhm.
and so that I can be more in the mix with my kids. But basically, I do a lot of the back end, all the admin stuff, right? And so it's amazing to look at the fact that this house that we're in now, we've been in for about a year and a half, and this balloons bought our house, which is crazy to think about. I was a teacher before my husband worked at a college, and to think about the fact that we were able to purchase this house with the business we're running now is crazy because I mean, there's no way we could have done it on our prior salaries. So it's very cool that we were able to buy this house and then also make this house work for us in the sense that it came with a fully unfinished basement. We, quadrant off half of the basement and said, this is the balloon shop. It has its own designated entrance. And so, yeah, it's worked really, really well in that way.
Cool. Cool. Well, like I said, we'll link to your last interview, but you talked a lot in that episode about like pricing calculators and spreadsheets and hacks kind of
Mhm.
that save you time. So because you're the one
Yeah.
doing that stuff, so you don't want to do it over and over and be, guessing. Delivery
Yes.
calculator, all of that. So, but today, let's focus on AI. I
Mhm.
mean, it's everywhere. I think it won like Person of the Year or something I was like, what? What is happening? It was like the people behind AI. I was like, this is getting out of control. But so AI is everywhere. It's here to stay.
Yeah.
And I think like I feel like I use AI, ChatGPT, but when I think about it, it's kind of like a glorified spell checker, Grammarly.
Mhm.
I use it as like a writing assistant and it's great.
Right.
And I also will use it to kind of help me say something away that maybe isn't mean or isn't rude or how do I approach this? So
Right.
really that's the extent. I've just started getting into like the images and sometimes they come back and you're like, "Ah, you're on crack. This is insane." So like it just still kind of feels like the Wild West. So I'm curious how you use it to save yourself time in your business. But let's start with like the basics. What is it? Where do you get it? Because there's a lot of people that are, like,
For sure.
very new, maybe don't even have AI or know how to access it.
Mhm. 'Kay, well, AI is it can be an intimidating thing for people who are not familiar with it, and I would say I think it kind of is coming along like how the internet came about, where you had a group of people who were like, "Ah, that'll pass," and they didn't really wanna take the time to get to know how to use it
Right,
and use it for what it could be, and those people, like, in hindsight, kinda got left in the dust, and then eventually had to be like, "Alright, fine," and learn, same thing with, like, smartphones, and I this is a technology that's here to stay,
right.
and so, AI is something that can basically do work for you by searching the wealth of the internet knowledge that already exists, right? Not only just internet, but just it's been trained to know how people interact and all different things. You'll see it already built into programs like Canva, sometimes in your CRM, different things like that. So it can do those things already. But the AI I use the most is ChatGPT. It's super, I would say it's very beginner friendly for those who don't have experience with AI yet. Um, there's a million different forums that you could learn about all the ins and outs of the details of it, but there's no reason for it. Stick with a basic chat GPT and you'll be good. But so you can just go online and I think it's chatgpt.com. I don't even
Mhm.
know. But you just look up ChatGPT and you're going to want to kind of look at it like almost like an assistant. So I think that's where a lot of people get hung up. Like you were saying, it's kind of like a glorified spell check, which, yes, it can absolutely do that for you. But if you look at it in that way, it's going to be a very limiting mindset. And
Mhm.
so the way I try and think of it is basically like a low cost operations assistant, like it's another person, even it's
Yeah,
not a person, but you know what I mean? You talk to it like it's a person and it will be able to give you that feedback. So sometimes I'll be sitting here working on something, and if my husband's busy, I might go to ChatGPT to get feedback on, well, what do you think about this? I don't know if
yeah,
I'm handling this quite right, and it really will respond in that way. So I have a paid version because I use it all the time, but you certainly do not need the paid version at all. A paid version would be good if you're talking to it, 5 or 6 times a day, having really long drawn out conversations where you're thinking through big processes. But for the average person, the average business owner, you probably don't need the paid version.
yeah. Yeah, I think I hit free for, like, 6 months, but then I kept reaching that limit. It was like you could
Okay.
only ask it so many things, and I was like,
Yeah.
"No, I have so much more to ask you."
Right. So it's one of those things where as you start to get to know it, you'll get a sense for, okay, do I actually need the paid version or not? Am I using it enough where it's worth it to just pay, I don't know what it is, $15 a month or something like that?
Yeah,
Um, to be able to have the no limits feature, then yeah, it's similar to Canva. If you're just on there every once in a while and doing a little thing here and there, you probably don't need the paid version. If you're designing graphics every day and always trying to use these premium features, probably just pay for it.
yeah.
It's a the ROI, it's a good ROI there.
Well, and I think, because 'cause I've probably been using it pretty actively for, like, 6 months,
Mhm.
and in that 6 months, specifically with graphics, the difference is insane. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, and it's kinda scary because that's a whole other conversation, right? It used to be like, "Is this real or is it fake?" And you're like,
Yes.
"Well, it has 3 hands and 8 fingers on each hand, so that's probably fake." Now it's getting a lot better. Like, you're
Oh,
not
yeah.
seeing those weird, creepy, like, mushed together photos, like, they're pretty accurate.
Oh, yeah.
I'm seeing them with balloons. I think some balloon companies are actually using AI to generate photos of balloon work. I think we can still tell, but,
Yeah.
like, customers can't. I get AI
Uh-huh.
photos all the time, and
Yeah.
it's getting good.
It really has just in the last few months really amped up, but I mean, to that point, like, we did our interview a year and a half ago, maybe when I was talking about the spreadsheets and all the different things, and I still use those spreadsheets, but even Google Sheets has AI embedded into it, and
Mm,
so it's really one of those things where, you just gotta start somewhere, and you need to
yeah,
be afraid to not just try it. Sorry, you need to not be afraid to just try it because you're not gonna break it, okay? There's nothing wrong with it. Just go in, give it a shot, and you learn as you go. And there's
yeah.
always gonna be another 17 ways you could optimize this and make it better, but just stick with what's right in front of you and the basics, and it's totally fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I love this. So, what are some of the basic ways that you use it as this operations manager? Because my problem is I go from like step one to step 50 and it doesn't work and then I get frustrated. Instead of
Right.
asking a simple question, I'm like, make a list of all the balloon colors that exist in the entire world and which brand and which sizes and then compile that into a spreadsheet and a chart and give it to me. And then it like
Yeah.
doesn't do it and I'm like, this is useless. So like what are
Exactly.
some of the starting, points that we should do running our own balloon business?
Yeah, so I would say I'm first of all, the mindset you have with ChatGPT is gonna be really important. So, if you're thinking of it as an assistant, like I can't say that enough. If you think of it as like an actual person that you're talking to, right? You've hired this temporary assistant to help you out. If you threw all that information at them and was like, "And I would like it in 5 minutes."
Yeah.
They might be able to do something in 5 minutes, but it's not gonna be accurate, you know?
Yeah.
And so giving them too much information, it's a lot. Likewise, not giving enough information, they're not gonna be able to make educated decisions without the context, right? So I think that's one of the biggest things is stop and treat it kind of like a conversation. Give the background of, "Hey, I'm Emily. I run a balloon business in Utah. This is my link." It can kinda search your website on your own. I am looking for information on pricing. This is where I get really stuck, and give it your basic, anything that you would tell to an actual person. Or if I was talking to my husband and kind of explaining the scenario, you want to give that context.
Yeah.
Um, you do have to kind of do it in steps. Like I said, if you give it 18,000 things at one time, it's going to freak out and not get things correct. And of course, any way you slice it, it can get things not
Mhm.
correct. So you always have to check it. It's never a copy and paste, here's my solution. It's more of a sounding board. So I use it a lot to make decisions.
Mm.
One of the ways I do it is if I am stuck. And so if I am in kind of have like a creative block, or let's say I am in one of those scenarios where I have a million ideas in my head and I can't quite formulate them right, I can't structure them, I will kinda go into ChatGPT and type it, or they even have an audio, you can just talk to it,
Yeah.
and a microphone built into it, and so sometimes I will just open it up and say everything on my brain and be like, "Please organize this in a way that makes sense," whether it's for business or just life, because I've got something for, my kids' school and work and church and all these different things, and I'm like, I can't even function. So
Yeah.
those menial little tasks that take up a lot of time, those are the things that you wanna give to ChatGPT because it can do it in 5 seconds, and that
Yeah.
doesn't require any going into the internet and, "Oh, what's the best recipe?" It doesn't, none of that matters. You're just giving it information and it's organizing it for you. So I would
Yeah.
say structure. Structure is a really good way to use ChatGPT. Um, like we talked about before, pricing, spreadsheets, anything with your systems on how you send templated emails to your clients, seeing blind spots in your business that you may not have thought about. So
Yeah.
I
I
kind
just
of
did
use it
this
as a
actually.
second set of eyes, yeah.
I I think that what you said is really smart. Like I have tried dumping all of my information in there and being like, "Tell me what the financial picture is." And it's like I didn't get back very much useful information because kind of like a
Right,
person, which it kind of depends what you're looking for, right? Like,
right.
but then I kind of did my first scrub of my data and cleaned it up a little bit and then I put it in with a little bit of a different prompt
Uh-huh.
and I got much better feedback in the sense of like you want to scale, but these are the things you said you don't like doing. These
Right.
are the products that don't require that, and they're the most profitable ones. So going into 2026, here's the game plan. Here's what you're
Uh-huh.
pushing. Here's what you're hiring. Here's what you're doing. And it was, I mean, it was really great. Like it
For
kind of
sure.
told me what I already knew, but like obviously it has no emotion involved in
Right.
it. But like it was able to give, not just data, but feedback of like this is the stuff that's easy to make, this is the stuff that's the most profitable, this is what you're equipped to do, so let's crank that up and let's not do
Uh-huh.
this many of those. Like it was like having a
Right.
conversation with a person, not just like look at my finances and tell me the numbers. Like that is actually where I feel like it doesn't know the whole picture.
Right, and that's where you're gonna see a lot more errors because it's like math, it's black and white, there's a right and wrong, and if you've got the wrong number, you've got the wrong number, and it
Right.
might have given you the wrong data. But when it's almost kind of like a therapist, right? It's like you go and you tell it all these things, and then it comes back and it's like, "So, what I hear you saying is this." And then for some reason, when you hear it back, it's reframed and you're like, "Oh, yeah, that is what I'm saying."
Yeah.
So that is a really helpful way. I mean, yeah, I just did it for year-end goals for 2025, where I just kinda sat down and it you can ask it to prompt you too. If you're like, "I don't know where to start. I have a balloon business and I wanna make goals." Throw it out there. Start with that. And it will come back and say things like, "Great. Hey, can you tell me about 3 things that you absolutely love to do in your business, and 3 things that are driving you crazy, and 3 things that you're really not sure even where to go with?" It will guide you along the way. You just have to be clear about what you're asking it.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the things where I think a lot of people get hung up because it's and you also it is a conversation, so you don't want the first answer back. If you were talking to an assistant and said, "Here's your task," and they come back with draft 1, you don't go, "Perfect, click, done."
Yeah.
No, you're gonna go, "Okay, this is good. But what about this?" I like to play, kinda devil's advocate with it. Even if it's not
Mhm.
necessarily how I'm feeling, I might think, "Okay, but what about a customer?" If they're looking at this and they go, "Well, but what about this?" And I will do that with it so that I can
Yeah.
already be prepared with the pushback I might receive or kind of pressure testing any ideas that I have to see, "Oh, yeah, I didn't think about it in that scenario."
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I like that. I always forget that. What you said is such a good tip, but I always forget to like tell it the hat I want it to wear. I always
Yeah.
just think like, okay, you're I'm talking about marketing, so you know I want you to act as like a marketing director, but like it doesn't,
Mhm.
it's computer.
Yes.
So that's such a good tip. Like I want you to act as my marketing manager and help me think through these ideas. I want you to
Mhm.
act as my therapist. I want you to
Yeah.
be my biggest hype girl and tell me that it's all gonna be okay. Like, what do you
Right.
want it to be? Sometimes mine's a little too hypey, like, it's a little too
Yeah.
optimistic. It's like, "That's a really great idea." I'm like, "No, it's not. Shut up."
I just discovered last week there's, like, a place you can go into settings and, like, tell it what voice you want. Like, you can have it be, like, less hype girl, you know?
Really? I need
Yeah.
that.
So you can
Mine
turn
gives me,
that
like, a
part down.
paragraph of encouragement. I'm like, "For real, I was just asking, like, how to
Yeah,
make this thing stop it,
yeah.
stop it."
Yeah, you can, like, tell it to be, like, more concise. Like, "I didn't need
Mm.
5 pages of why you think this is great," but in that same thought, ChatGPT is really good at giving you a lot of information, and that's
Yeah.
another place that you can get hung up and get lost in the weeds. That's a place where I have gotten lost in the weeds many times because it's always gonna have another idea. It will give
Mm.
you the information back, and then it'll be like, "Next, I could generate pricing for all
Right.
of your." And there's 5 or 6 different prompts that you're like, "Just," it says, "Just say the word and I'll do it," you know?
Yeah.
So you can respond, "Oh, yeah, let's do that." But in turn, you've kind of lost sight of why you got on there in the first place to figure
Yes.
out the one problem. So for me, the safeguard I have to set up is just focus on the problem. What are we solving? And then get out of there. Because
Yeah.
you could stay in there literally all day talking to this AI and coming up with ideas, but unless you do anything with them, they're completely useless, right? So
I love it.
I mean, even at the end of the year, I was like, I know I have probably 50 ideas somewhere in my chat GPT of things that I said, "Oh, I'm gonna do this." And then I never did it because we were just talking and I didn't put it into action. So then I
Right.
said, "Hey, we've talked a lot over the last year. Give me a list of like 5 or 6 of my best ideas that I had so that I can go back and see, did I do those things or not?" So having that in mind of like, yes, it's a good tool. Yes, it has great ideas, but you are the only one who can actually do anything. So you need to be the adult there and say, okay, great. Thank you, assistant, for
I
this
love that.
information you've given me, for returning the project I gave you. And now I'm going to go put it where I was going to put it in the first place.
That's so smart. Yeah, that's like if you went to back to back to back balloon conventions. Like, you'd see a million
Right.
amazing things and you'd come back with no money and you've done none of
Yeah,
them and you gotta like just implement. I love that. Because yeah,
yeah.
it always is like, oh, we're updating your pricing. Do you want me to make that into a spreadsheet? Now I can make you a catalog. Would you like to see that? And all of a sudden you're like in Canva redesigning your website and you're like, wait, I just was like asking what the going rate of this thing is, which leads me to my
Exactly.
next question. Do you use it for pricing? I know you're always very accurate at pricing because you've had your spreadsheets. You're the one we come to be like, what does a 30-foot arch outside in the middle of summer cost? Are you using it for pricing at all?
I don't usually.
Okay.
You can. I mean, you can go far and beyond. You can make your own custom chat GPTs. I mean, if you really want to get into the weeds here, you can build your own pricing calculators basically within chat GPT. I
Yeah.
already have mine in place. I have used it to look at websites. So I'll be like, here's my 3 distributors that I want to look at, and I will have them pull the prices for what current rates are. But again, because it is actual numbers and data, it can get things wrong. It can be a little tricky. And like I use Loftus International a lot for my distribution, but they have wholesaler pricing. So you have to be logged in to see it.
Okay.
So it can't pull those things. So I've toyed around with it a little. I think it could be useful, but for the most part for pricing, I use it to, like I said, kind of pressure test what I've already come up with. I come up with an idea of about where it's supposed to be, and then I'll throw it in and say, here's my pricing for this. And it kind of tell it how I'm feeling. I feel like this is maybe a little too high. I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pushback from that. Is this warranted? Or I just went through and I've never had like packages before. I'm
Mhm.
going to maybe try that this year. I don't know. But I was toying around with that idea. It called it productizing. I'd never heard this phrase
Mm.
before, but basically making each thing into like a product. Um, and it really talked me through where, like, it was a backdrop with the garland, and I wanted to price it at this, and it was like, "Yeah, but think about the time you spent designing their vinyl and the, XYZ costs," that I was like, "Yeah, that's true." Or even the fact that, like, the creative effort that goes in on my end when my employees are inflating balloons, that I've spent 3 hours up here designing whatever logo and custom color matching and all these different things.
Yeah.
Um, so it is good in those senses because I am an emotional pricer no matter how hard I try. It is very hard for me to pull emotion out of pricing. So I will kind of use it as, "Here's where I'm at. Am I crazy? Do I need to go
Yeah.
higher? Have I gone too far the other way?" You know?
Right. I just did this and it it like really fought for me on this one. I I sent it to you too because I was like, I don't know how to price a 9-foot tall Christmas tree made out of all orbs. Like
Yeah.
that's not a common request. So I just put it in. I put the picture in and I said, "How much would you price this at?" And then I actually counted all the orbs in the picture and kinda, like, went to the websites and priced them out and, all the sizes and asked you guys, and it was almost to the dollar accurate.
Wow.
It was
That
crazy,
is
and I don't know that
impressive.
that would always be the case, like,
Right,
that
right.
is a situation where you can actually kinda count the balloons,
Mhm.
but it kind of was to the dollar for, like, the material cost, and
Wow.
then where I always shortchange myself is, like, the labor and the fact that it's,
Right.
like, a specialty item. I'm like,
Yeah.
if it's like $300 in materials, then, like, where do I put that? Do I multiply that by 3?" And originally, I was thinking, like, 900, $1,000, and ChatGPT got me up to, like, the $1,800 mark. It was like,
Oh, yeah.
"This is in a week. This is specialty. You
Oh,
are
yeah.
responsible for a large part of the decor. You are going to" don't forget adhesive, all these things that I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, yeah."
Yeah.
So I quoted at
Mhm.
$1,800 and they did it. They bought
Yeah.
them, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I almost shortchanged myself by half." Like,
For sure. Well,
and it
and
was
that's the
accurate.
core of the hype portion is really good, where it's
Yeah,
like,
right?
"Yeah, you deserve this, girl," and you're like, "Yeah, I do."
Mhm.
It is
I love
very,
it.
very good in that sense. And I mean, it does also help you with just like even perceived value, even if they don't get the material cost right.
Yeah.
We are so used to seeing these amazing creations and we're like, old hat. I've seen that a million
Yeah.
times. But to someone else, they're like, oh my gosh, this is mind boggling how amazing this is. And we forget that. And so it's kind
Right.
of nice to throw it in there and have them be like, whoa, that's unbelievable.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, I think I think the more you use it is kind of the key too, because then it has
Yes.
other stuff. I mean, it has balloon stuff to look at. It kind of knows what you're capable of or what you're, thinking of. And then, like you said, with this like year end planning and like you put in the prompt, it can go back and recall all the conversations you've had
Right.
versus like a person can't even do that.
Right.
Like I talk to you almost every single day. And you wouldn't be like, I think you were feeling this same way 12 months ago, and, like, maybe this is a
Right.
cycle, and maybe but, like, it can, and it's kind of amazing that it's like, every summer you tend to get burnt out, and maybe
Yeah,
let's focus on the pickup items, and so the memory of it, I think, is really cool. So I think if people are
yeah,
hesitant to start using it, like, you have to start using it for it to kinda, like, get to know who you are. Again, like
for
a
sure.
person, like
Yeah.
an assistant, like, it's not gonna know how you behave or act or like even what your job is at first. Quick pause because if you're running a small business and you feel like your brain is holding open 1,000 tiny tabs, this is for you. One of the biggest shifts that I've made in my business and that I've seen successful decorators make over and over is moving from doing everything manually to having a real system behind the scenes. That's why 17 Hats is our exclusive YouTube sponsor for 2026. 17 Hats puts your inquiries, contracts, invoices, questionnaires, emails, and workflows all in one place so you're not chasing clients, forgetting follow ups, or reinventing the wheel every single time someone books. Instead of asking, did I send that and what comes next? Your business just works. The best part, it doesn't make your business feel more robotic. It actually frees you up to do things that you're meant to do, like be creative, work with clients, spend time with your family, and all with less stress. If you're ready to stop duct taping systems together and start operating like a real business, head to 17hats.com to check it out. Once you have a system, everything else gets easier. All right, let's jump back in.
Yeah, I mean, I have and you can specifically tell it to remember certain things. If you're like, "I want you always to remember that I am Emily, I own Utah Balloon Creations, I
Mm,
am coming at this as a business owner," and it will keep those things locked in, right?
okay.
But I even use it like you kinda started talking about, like, "Oh, this looks like a pattern." I mean, yes, I throw things like spreadsheets and templates for clients in and have it analyze it, but I also use it just for personal work-life balance, and that has been a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Because I think about I'm like, "Okay, this I'm a singular person, and I have this many hours in the day. In that time, I have to be a mom, I have to be a coach, I have to" all these different things. So I'm like, "Well, I could hire a chef." Oh, I don't have the money to hire a chef. So, I'm gonna throw a picture of what's in my fridge on ChatGPT and say, "What can I make for dinner?" And it will
That's
do that.
amazing.
Yeah. So, I mean,
Mine
I
would
will
be
send
like nothing. Popsicles are for dinner.
Sorry. Sounds like it's McDonald's tonight.
I know. Treat yourself.
But I mean, like, it is very helpful to just kind of have that it's almost like another person, which I feel crazy saying, especially to
No,
people
it's
who
just gonna
don't
get
use
I mean,
it.
like, it's just gonna get worse. We might as well just
Yeah,
succumb
but,
to it
like,
now.
so, for example, I mean, as a woman, our bodies go through all kinds of different things, and we are hormonal creatures, and I have tried to use so many different, like, tracking apps and things like that to see, like, when I was feeling really inspired and creative, and when I was feeling really, "I wanna hide under my covers," and there's never quite enough, because 'cause they're apps, right? So it's like, I was feeling excited, I was feeling sad, it's very
Right.
limited,
And it's all
and so
dependent on you, like,
right, and
typing all the
sometimes I'll
things
go
in.
5 or 6 days without remembering, "Oh, yeah, I was gonna record how I was feeling," but that's part of it that I'm like, "Oh, I'm not thinking about that." That's also part of how I'm feeling, and so I just keep a pinned conversation at the top, and when I think of it, that's what I'm gonna do for this year. When I think of
Huh.
it, and I click it and I say, "Hey, today was crazy, and I felt insane," or like, "It was really good, and I was super productive." And I do
Yes.
tell it any little, like, external factors of, "Oh, yeah, the kids finally went back to school today." So that was a big external factor, right?
Right.
So it can kind of note that as an outlier, but it has been very insightful and also reassuring in the sense of the kinda hype ChatGPT of like, "No, this is normal. You need to take
Yeah.
some time to relax for yourself. Stop
Yeah.
beating yourself up and go take a nap," right?
I think that's so interesting. I think again, as women, like where you are in your cycle or your age or like
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like you said, hormones, we're crazy people. Like, sorry, that's a terrible thing to say, but there's like there's times where I'm just like, "I think I'm losing my mind," and then, like, 3
Oh,
days
yeah.
later, I'm just like, "I can do anything. I am
Yeah,
amazing." Like, it's just
yeah.
it's up and down. But also with that data, it could factor in, like, "Oh, like, it's the dead of winter, and you're getting, like, 1 hour of sunlight a week," or,
Right.
like, I think that's really interesting what other factors could
Mhm.
be kinda layered on that data. That's really interesting.
Right. And so, I mean, my hope is that I'll be able to look back at it and not only just see, like, for me personally with hormonal changes and things, but like seasonally with business. And it's like, hey, remember, you lose your mind every time this year.
Yeah.
Hey, don't forget that really, really crazy month is coming up. You need to do this, this, and this ahead of time so that you don't lose your mind. Right. Or like,
Yeah, yeah.
I know it's December and you think you'll never sell another balloon again, but you will, in fact, still have customers in January,
That's us every year. We're like, "It's
yeah,
over."
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, it's like talking to your friend.
Well, okay, so then my last kind of the thing that I struggle with ChatGPT is, like, I put the information in and it spits it out, but then, like, where does it go? Or even when it makes you something, it's just I feel like I'm always, like, copying and pasting and, like, emailing myself things that then I never look at.
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with the information. Like, where does it live and
yeah.
how does it actually reciprocate? Like, I would love daily reminders. I would like a heads up. I'd love it to send me email. I don't think it can, like, really do that yet. Like, what are you doing with the stuff?
I don't know if it can do that. And my answer would be to ask ChatGPT.
Well, I told you mine's a big
No.
fat liar. Mine'll be like, "Would you like me to make you a Google Doc?" And I'm like, "Yes."
Yeah,
And then it's
yeah,
like,
and
"I'm
then it
sorry, I can't do that." I'm like,
right.
"Then why did you
Yeah,
offer, you dum dum? Like, what are you trying to do to me? Get me all excited that you're gonna make me a doc."
I know,
It's
it
not
is
better.
I would say that's one of my more frustrating aspects of it, but that comes back to I try really hard not to be working with it. If it's something that I need long term, like my goals or something like that, I try not to bite off more than I can chew on my conversation so that then I can take that information and apply it wherever I'm gonna use it. So, yeah, it'll tell you it can make a Canva doc, but it's not, like, editable. It's like a PDF with weird graphics,
Exactly.
and it doesn't make sense. So I normally say, "Make this into a table that I can copy and paste," and I put it somewhere else, because if it's in ChatGPT, I'm gonna lose it under, the recipe for the stir fry I was gonna make and the
Right. The
17 other things.
organization in there isn't awesome yet. I just
Yeah.
figured out that you could, like, make a folder dedicated
Mhm.
to a certain subject. I just started doing that, like, a
Yeah.
week ago.
Yeah, you can make a whole, this is the project I'm working on and put it under there. And if you're good about those things, that is an awesome feature. I am terrible at
Yeah.
digital organization. So mine is
Yeah.
like a giant stream of consciousness. But they do have that in there. I am excited for the day, and I would guess it's not too far off based on how quickly AI evolves, that you'll be able to, send this to me as an email or add this immediately to my calendar
Yes.
or
Yeah.
whatever it may
It can't
be.
be far, right? Like, that's gotta be the number one thing people
No, for
would
sure.
use it for, right?
I mean, AI in and of itself has evolved so rapidly over the last few years. I can remember it must have been 2023. Um, and AI was still so new, especially image generation. And so I was on these back forums learning about it, and I taught my daughter, who was 8, like, we did it together, how to generate these pictures of, like, cute baby animals wearing different seasonal costumes. And she made a whole calendar out of it, and she sold them because it was still so novel. And she was like, I mean, it was adorable. It was so cute. And now it's like anyone and their mother can open their phone and say, like, "Give me a picture of a cat wearing a Santa hat," and it does it, right? But it was so novel, and that was 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was challenging for us because you really had to work on how you prompted it, and it just has flipped night and day on how the ease and the accessibility of it, which is why I say at this point, if you haven't done it yet, you should start exploring it because
Yeah.
you will learn. It's like all things, there's a learning curve, and you will learn ways that can help you and ways that you're like, "Why did I waste my time with this?"
Right. I mean, I do think that, like, ChatGPT of today will be like looking back at what, like, Ask Jeeves
Oh,
was
yeah,
when,
for sure.
you'd, like, put in your AOL disk and it
Yeah,
would, like, log on. You, like, needed a disk that they mailed to you, which I'm still just like, what was on the disk? Just, like, a
right.
URL to, like, AOL.com? But, like, we were so it made no sense. So
Yeah,
I'm sure what we're doing now is so, like, rudimentary, but if you don't ever start, you're never gonna catch
Right,
up.
it's
Like,
also
you
a
gotta
very
get going
good
here.
door to open to be able to start here. It's very beginner friendly. It's literally like a box, like Google, right? You can,
Yes.
like, type anything in that you want to type, and it will talk you through it, and like I said, I mean, I would ask ChatGPT, and sometimes it doesn't have the answers, but sometimes when you're like, "Oh, I wonder how I could do this," within ChatGPT, literally just ask it. Like,
Mhm.
it will tell you, "Oh, yeah, I do have ways you can set up custom things over here," or yeah, if you wanna be reminded in 10 minutes, let me know and I can do that. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love all these tips because they're things I'll actually do. I feel like I'll watch like a webinar and I'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I need to put like an interactive sales chat GPT on my website and optimize all my," and it's just like, no, like, no, it
right.
will be more beneficial if like, if it can tell me what to make my children for dinner tonight. Like, that
Yes.
is actually, even though it's not business related necessarily, like you said, we still have to do it. We're the ones that
Yeah.
have to do all those
Well,
things.
and probably the reason that you're burnout and don't know what to make your kids for dinner is because you spent all day working.
Yeah.
And now you're
Yeah.
like, "I'm done. I have nothing left because I used all my creative power on balloons."
I
So it
know.
is it is very helpful in that way to be able to just have have a second brain almost that's not attached to emotion, it's not attached to anything else, just like, "Thank you." And for I
Yeah.
will put a plug in for it, it makes killer recipes. I don't
Mm,
know, maybe it's because it's pulling from all the reviews and all the recipes online, but every ChatGPT recipe I've ever made, chef's kiss.
interesting. I mean, I've
It's
made 0,
amazing.
so I maybe should try that. I didn't even think of that. I would've been like, "Find me a recipe for this," not like, "Tell me what to make with these ingredients," or just give
Oh,
me the
yeah.
recipe. Like, I've never even thought of that.
Yep, it is helpful. So, let's see,
Cool.
I was going to say okay, I looked in preparation for this interview. Since it's about ChatGPT, I went to my ChatGPT and said, "Hey, I'm having an interview with Sarah from the Bright Balloon podcast about how I use ChatGPT." Because you know who knows how I use ChatGPT? ChatGPT does. So I
Nice.
told
So it
it,
pulled your thing.
I was like, okay, so talk me through it. What are some things that I could say? It did give me a list of the top 5 best practices for people who are just getting started. Okay. Yeah. So tip number 1 is to tell it who it's supposed to be or who it's supposed to act as, which hat it's supposed to be wearing, if you will. So act as a business coach, act as a social media manager, act as a professional photographer who specializes in branding photo shoots, right? Get as specific as you can be, the more it will be able to fine tune and give you the output that you need. Step number 2 is to give context before you ask for output. I would say, I mean, if you're just getting started and you're literally like, "Hey, I'm Mary," that's fine, right? But if you're
Yeah.
once you're starting to use it, give it the context before you ask for anything in return. It's not a vending machine, okay? So you need to give it the background information of what you're looking for so that it can return something of equal value. So if you tell
Mm,
it, "I want to know prices for balloons," it's probably going to give you about just as helpful of an answer as that
yeah.
was the question. So give it the context. Number 3 is ask for thinking, not just content. So instead of just saying, write an email, you might say, write an email and explain, or write 3 emails and explain my different options, or write an email and explain why, because
Mm,
that will inherently allow you to be able to look at what it's given you and determine, okay, is that actually what I wanted? Or does it need to be more client facing or, kind of fine tune it from there?
yeah.
So ask for the thinking behind it if it doesn't already give it. It usually gives it pretty freely. Mine never stops talking.
I know, I know. Mine's always like, oh, it's going on
Yeah.
and on.
And then number 4 is after you have that information to react and refine. So, like I said earlier, I almost never use the first answer. You want to take the information it's given you and you want to push back. Either ask
Mm.
why or say, well, that's interesting, but how about from this point of view? Or no, you didn't listen to what I say. It's not yelling at it. It's prompting. It's
I'm too scared to yell at it because they're all gonna take over and they're gonna be like, "Remember that one time you were mean and pushy?" And I'll be like, "I'm so sorry."
I do always say thank you.
I
I know
do.
it's not necessary, but I do say thank you.
I feel mean when I don't. I'm just like, "Good work today."
But the funny thing about that is it knows how you talk to it, and so it
Mm,
as you do that more, it is better at writing in your voice. And so you
Oh,
can
nice.
say like, "Hey, write this how I would say this." And so like right now my ChatGPT will be like, "Oh yeah, that's very you." Like it knows who I am and how I act. It's weird.
That's funny.
Um, but yeah, so react and refine. And then number 5 is use it at decision points, not all day, because
Hmm.
otherwise your day will be gone. So go about your day. If it's something that you can probably figure out in a minute or two, just figure it out. ChatGPT is not to replace critical thinking. You still need to be able to do that on your own, but it is for when you hit those blocks of, oh my gosh, I'm totally spent. I don't know what to do. Or this is really confusing. I mean, I have uploaded long legal documents, which, it'll give you the whole disclaimer, we are not lawyers and seek your own legal advice. But for me, it's worth it instead of trying to read the legalese of 20 pages of a contract some companies sent over to me. And I just upload it and say, hey, give me the summary of this and let me know if there's any red flags I should be looking at. Because who has time to do that? Not me. Not me. I'm
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
17 other things. So use it at your decision points and for when you're really, really at a point where you need somebody else to take over.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are worried about ChatGPT in their jobs.
Yeah.
I think we're in the best position ever because it's making the stuff that none of us want to do easier, and there's no way for it to replace what we actually do, which is,
Yeah.
inflating,
I
tying, and
cannot
delivering
inflate the
balloons.
balloons.
So it's like it's helping with the business stuff, it's securing the manual side
Yeah.
of it, and like you said, most of what we do is critical thinking, so it's that problem
Mhm.
solving, it's that thing that, like, it's just never gonna be able to replace a
Yeah.
human, so I
Yep.
love it, I love it in my business. Let's wrap up,
Okay.
but real quick, let's plug our sponsor this month, which is Joette from Balloon Coach, because you
Woohoo!
you are gonna be at Summit this year, so
Yeah, we love
tell us a little bit about Summit and if you can, what you're going to be doing there. I don't know if it's a
well,
secret or not.
no, you're good. Yeah, I'm so excited to be able to go back to Summit this year. With having little babies and stuff over the last few years, it's been hard to actually get away, but my youngest is 2 now, and so she's turning 3, and I am ready to get back out there and join Joette, in Orlando this November, and it's gonna be amazing. I don't know the details of what exactly I'm doing yet, but I will be involved in designing and coordinating back end things, and it'll be fabulous. I can't wait to
And we
see
will
everybody and learn
reunite at our
so
was that
much.
that's the first place we met, right?
It is where we met, yes.
Where the mozzarella stick incident took place. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna publicly say it. You guys, this is like at least once a week, I stand in the shower and I think of this moment and I feel so bad. I had never met Emily and she was sitting in the little kitchenette and she was eating mozzarella sticks. And I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, hi." And she was like, "Oh, would you like one?" I was like, "Sure." And then other people that I knew came over and I started talking to them and they also ate mozzarella sticks. And then by the time I realized, I looked back and Emily was gone and we had just eaten all her food. And I was like, I am the worst person ever. This girl hates me.
No, but you have to realize that was, like, such a cool moment for me too, because I think it was maybe my first summit in person.
Okay.
And I obviously knew who you were, and so secretly, I'm, like, texting my husband, like, "Oh my gosh, you'll never guess who just sat down at my table." Right? I'm,
Sarah's
like,
eating all my
fangirling.
mozzarella sticks.
So it didn't even phase me. I was like, "If a thing of mozzarella sticks at the counter is the price it takes to be friends with Sarah Meyer, I will do it."
Everyone else, watch when I'm coming, steer clear, protect your food.
No, but it's a wonderful I mean, Summit is the place that I was able to find 17 Hats, which I run my entire business off of now, meet you and the other people that we talk to on a regular basis. I mean, find my tribe, if you will.
And there
And it
17 Hats is why we're friends. We
for sure.
connected because we met at Summit and we were like,
Uh-huh.
everyone's using the same CRM. Would you guys want to connect so we could like talk about CRM stuff? And now we
Yeah,
talk about literally everything every
everything.
day. Who would have thought?
So
Summit
much.
and 17 Hats were the ties that bind.
Yep, yep. So, I mean, for anybody who's on the fence about going, definitely it is an investment that you will not regret because,
Mhm.
regardless, I mean, there's the time you spend on your business, the information you learn, all fabulous things, but the connections you make, unmatched. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming on once again. It is always a pleasure.
Yeah,
And where
thanks
can
for
people
having me.
find you if they want to stalk your work, which they should?
I you can find me on Instagram at Utah Balloon Creations. And it's not super updated right now because I have been in a holiday slump for a bit, but hopefully by the time people hear this and find me, I'll be back at it. So
Yeah, and
I
if you're
do like
scrolling on
to.
Instagram and you see, like, a 40-foot outdoor arch, Emily probably made it. She's, like, the queen of outdoor
I
ginormous
might
arches. I
have.
always know when it's yours.
It's funny. I do love to do the arches. It's what I was trained on, and I mean, looking back at the very beginning when I first started, I mean, those were the first things I did. I mean, a 40-foot outdoor arch, and I was like, I had no business. I had no idea what I was
It's
doing.
almost better when you don't know all
Oh
the
yeah,
things that could go wrong. You're just
oh
like,
yeah,
"Woo!"
totally clueless, just throwing them up all over the place, and it was great.
Well,
Oh,
thank you so much for taking the time talking about ChatGPT, but you obviously have lots more to share, so if anyone wants to meet you in person, we'll see you at Summit.
yes, we'll see you there.
Alright, thanks
Okay,
so much,
thanks,
Emily.
Sarah.